This is the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi for day 45 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor future Arukh HaShulchan Yomi Shurim, either for days or for weeks, please be in touch with me. Today we are doing Siman Chaf Zayin Sif Chaf Aleph up to and including Siman Chaf Ches Sif Vav. Chaf Zayin Chaf Aleph. We're talking now about the tefillin Sharosh. Yesterday we talked about in the front of the tefillin, out there about the back of the tefillin. It's got to be at the higher up in the neck, at the end of the skull. And the skull is approximately here on me. Okay, this is higher in the neck, the end of the skull. The Mishnah Berurah writes, it should be the best that it's best for the not to be above the cavity. At any event, it should at least part of the kesher should be a place in a place which is bereft of hair. I have no idea what that means because no, the other way. It's at the very least you should be careful that none of it should be in the part which is bereft of hair. It makes no sense. The Be'er Halacha writes that the kesher has to be underneath the shipua hakokod, where the skull starts turning downwards. Okay, shipua hakokod down here. Okay, see when the skull starts here, it takes a turn downward. Okay, so the back to the Arukh HaShulchan. V'uneged point, this is opposite the face. And the sharosh has to be in the middle of the head. Opposite between the eyes. Some people use a mirror. Other people go like this in order to make sure that it's between the eyes. Usually it was effective. I heard many years ago from Talmud Chacham that male Jews, after a certain amount of years, have a certain convex place here in their head where the tefillin sharosh is supposed to go. I'm not sure I ever got one, but maybe some people have it. Anyway, and just like the bias in the front should be opposite the middle between the eyes, in the back it should be opposite the middle of the neck, not deviating neither to here nor to there. The place of the keshes look like a dalit towards the outside. Not like those who make $2. The kesher dalit kaful, which is one which I had when I became bar mitzvah, which evidently is a yekisher tradition, is mostly rejected by the poskim, including by the Arukh HaShulchan, which basically looks like a square. So the real dalit, which evidently is the preferred way, doesn't look like a real square, but it looks like it has three sections, which are bottom, top right, and top left, which looks like a dalit because there's a little bit of strap coming out of the rear of that right top section. I was told once that they asked Rav Yoshiv to come out and passel the kesher dalit kaful, which Arukh HaShulchan is referring to, and Rav Yoshiv refused to do so. He said, it also looks like a dalit. Be that as it may. So he says here, the knot should not become upside down. The knot should come upside down by the shayat. Nowadays, Baruch Hashem, Am Yisrael is quite well to do, so you can get mitzuos which are black on both sides, but that doesn't matter. The ikar black should be facing out, and that even if you have black on both sides, the black on the front should still be facing out. Just because you made it black on the back doesn't mean the back should face out. The primary place where the black has to face out is the place where it wraps around the head, and the place where it wraps around the upper arm. Mishnah Berurah says, nothing might be that they shouldn't turn inside out, except for that which wraps the head and the first time around the kibores. But what you wrap afterwards, and also what comes down in front of you from the strap of the tefillin sharosh, you don't have to be meticulous that it shouldn't turn around. Now that's because of noi mitzvah, so it should look nice and aesthetic. The black should be towards the outside, even in that which is the excess beyond the mere minimum. So again, maybe Noy Mitzvah is where it's issues Noy Mitzvah. Maybe there, in fact, that's back on both sides, diminishes the issue, but still, what they mean is that the smooth black should be out and not the rough black, which is normally the back of the tefillin. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. There is evidently, this is a place where actually it's a kveida, obviously, where it is an impediment, and one of the Amoraim fasted because his strap got inverted. It says it says he fasted 40 fasts. Mishnah Berurah says if it turns out that one of these places where it's an impediment has turned over, it's a midas chasidus to fast or to redeem the fast with tzedakah. Chav Beis, the straps of the shorosh should come out from behind his head to the front of him. They should reach the navel or a little bit below, a little bit above it. Mishnah Berurah writes here that if it's longer, it's not a problem. Arukh HaShulchan says the right strap should reach the navel, the left small, and the left strap until the chest. Mishnah Berurah writes in the name of the Torah, and some say that the right one should reach the bris milah, and the left one should reach the navel. When we did the Gemara, ain't shir according to the strict letter of the law. The Gemara, there is no shear. Rakshi Shalshim Alapon should just go drop a little bit in front of him. The width of the strap, our straps are much wider than this nowadays. When days until Dakos, the straps were much narrower, but even then, I think they were as narrow as this. They were, they should be the length of a barley kernel. Of lower oketz, that without its little chupchik. The Mishnah Berurah says here, some say it's enough to have the width of a wheat kernel, which is less than a barley kernel, and the Shas of Chak, you can rely on that. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, in Piches Mishir Orach HaRetzuos, if the Tzuos are not long or wide enough, if you don't find other ones, use them until you find other ones. Because all this is not impediment according to strict letter of the law. Rakid mitzvah only makes a hitter mitzvah. Mishnah Berurah says that the Achronim conclude that if it's less than the shear of the length of Shalyat, which is meant to Shulchan Aruch, Sivches, meaning that it should wrap the arm and be able to make a knot and spread over the middle finger and wrap on the middle finger 3 wrappings and then tie it, meaning to stick it in to the rest of them. You found that bracha. If it's enough to extend up to an etzba tzreida, which is etzba tzreida is usually like this. I'm not sure that's referred here to here. Akrichos edem akvos, the akrichos not impediment. The length of Ritzul Shorosh, the Arutz Chaim writes that even if there is 2 tfachim, that's good. If not, you should put out without a bracha. In terms of the width of Ritzul Shorosh, it was also machmir that if it's only the width of a chita, you should put out without a bracha. Anyway, the bottom line is that these are rare cases nowadays because our Ritzuos are much wider and longer than that. Okay, going back to Arukh HaShulchan. The mutar lifar Ritzuk, are you allowed to sew the strap after it's become ripped? Use Barba Simon Lama Gimel is going to be explained later on. Tefillin Shorosh is supposed to be revealed and seen. Aval Eino Makib is not a pediment. Like Ron and Siftes Vav. The Talmud Bifnei Rabo. And interesting halach here. Talmud in front of a Rebbe ain't derech eretz legaus tefillah bifnei Rabo. Interesting. It's not derech eretz to reveal it tefillah in front of Rebbe. V'chein masher breish berkayim einol did the Rabo lo here gets tefillah to Abaye. Rabbi now is not aware that Abaye was wearing tefillah. Rabbi said Rabbi Yirmiyah they were not wearing tefillah. Ein sham beduk. Because Rabbeinu Ramah the b'shalyad ein lakbidim heim gluyim ochus. It doesn't matter to shalyad if they're covered revealed. Although we saw many times yesterday in the name of Mishnah Berurah that you should dafka be makid that they're concealed if there's chatzitzas and such like. Mishnah Berurah here writes, in fact, the chatchila it's best that they be covered. So to tell back to Arukh HaShulchan, so to tell this Rebbe that now that we only put them on tefillin between the time of Shema and Tefillah, even the time for the Rebbe can reveal his tefillin at that time, even in tefillin Sharash. And that's the minute not to be careful nowadays about that. Obviously, it was an issue of yuhara outside the times of davening. The K back to the Arukh HaShulchan, the came to us choiva lanicham, because then it's an obligation for the man. Lo shachis nas b'nei rabba. It's not being haughty in front of one's rebbe. Only the time we learn does when it's not so required, then there is a reason to be meticulous. Siman Kaf Ches. We're talking about Dinah Hes Aradas Chalisa Tefillin. Aleph. Kosina Menachos. We learn the Menachos Chayv on the Mashish Tefillin Kol Shah. A person is required to manipulate his tefillin all the time. Kavacham Mitzitz. It's derived from the tzitz. Matzitz shem bo'elas kor achas. The tzitz, which is going to go to war, which said Kodesh Lashem, has only one mention of God's name. Torah, nevertheless, the Torah said, "It's called tamid." It should be constant as for it. You should not just get distracted from it. Tefillin sheyesh ben ma'asoras harbe. That's Kodesh harbe. Tefillin which has many mentions of God's name. V'alachas can become much more so that you have to be meticulous in manipulating it in order to remember it. For Kasser Rosh Hashanah Rabbeinu Yonah B'Shema Perek the Brachos V'Ator L'Kamer Siman Mem Dalet Theorot Esach Hadas L'Michel Kshem B'Tzchok V'Kalus Rosh. Real Esach Hadas is only when you're standing and being frivolous and lighthearted. But it doesn't mean you have to think about it every moment. This is impossible when you're learning or when you're davening or lomed or learning. Because then you're thinking about what you're davening learning now about the tefillin. Even Chachamim permitted b'sukkah even lishan she'enas arrived tefillin, even to sleep a nap in tefillin. There's no greater hesach hadas than a nap. As long as you're not being frivolous, we don't have a problem. Base. Therefore, we have to say, according to this, that which it says, you have to manipulate the tefillin all the time. This is what it means. Every time you remember the tefillin, you have to manipulate them. That's distracted. Also, Mr. Bura adds in order to make sure they're in the right place. Very pragmatic. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan, because of when you remember the film, you also don't manipulate them. They might come to forget them altogether. Then you might come to lightheartedness, or to pass gas, or to permanent sleep in your film. Arukh HaShulchan, like the Arukh HaShulchan, evidently was a new book at the time, because he quotes several times already what he found in Arukh HaShulchan. A person has to manipulate his tefillin. And therefore, person is wearing tefillin has to leave car. Remember that tefillin is upon him. Remember not to get distracted from them. You soon sleep in them, and not pass gas in them. Because he's bearing the distinguished name of God upon him. Ain't nobody they call so she doesn't come to lightheartedness. And he becomes and it seizes onto Yerushalayim in his heart. When a person is directing his heart properly in davening or halacha, that's okay, called getting distracted. The coach can Yiras Hashem. Certainly a person is involved in Yiras Hashem at those moments. The Yoshin mentioned us, alright? And we learn in Perek Yoshin and Sukkah, they can even sleep in Sukkah in tefillin, a short nap. So the main issue here is to come to Yiras Shamayim and not not to frivolity. It's alright, mutar. And therefore, 10% sleep is permitted. A nap is essential for human beings. Yay, naps. Okay. In which the Brura says that therefore night, which is a time of permanent sleep, even a shenas harai should be also medina, even a nap should be also in tefillin at night. Okay, brackets. This is resolve the question of the Kshagasai that isn't frivolity and lightheartedness also all the time. Based on what we wrote here, it's good. The Zem one breaks to the other. For the Mim Shabbos, Yud Beis Amrav, Yotzei Adam Tefillah of Erev Shabbos, in Chashecha. Person allowed to go on Tefillin Erev Shabbos just before nightfall. They came to Chayil Mashmesh Bidka Dachilu, because you have to manipulate them so you remember them. So it sounds like you have to actually manipulate them. Ayin Sham. How Hebrew should it mean to say? Came and She'el Olim Noam Mashmesh Mikol Eshizkor, since he's not going to refrain from manipulating them when he remembers about them. But Vada Yizkor also remember via Mashmesh, and he'll manipulate them via Salkim and remove them, may Allah, from upon himself Im Chashecha, as darkness is falling. Gimel. In this case, it's difficult. The quote from the Torah Shulchan Aruch, an Ovel has to restore his focus in order to direct his heart. Lit tefillin for his film. They shouldn't get distracted from them. But at the time of eulogy and crying, he doesn't put them on. This originates in the Ramban. So if Hesach Hadas is only frivolity, like we mentioned, the contrary, the mourner his heart is broken within him. He's distant from frivolity. What Hesach Hadas is there that we should not allow him to wear when he is mourning or eulogizing? Says Arukh HaShulchan, it's not really difficult at all. The honor lo means Hesach Hadas who kalus rosh. We don't say that Hesach Hadas is defined as kalus rosh. El Hesach Hadas mamish k'dei shlo yibol kalus rosh. But rather, Hesach Hadas mamish, distraction is avoided in order not to come lidei kalus rosh. I'm sorry, this whole one says. I'm a slokish God. I don't know me Hesach Hadas who kalus rosh. El Hesach Hadas mamish who k'dei shlo yibol kalus rosh. I'm not sure exactly how to parse that, but we don't say Hesach Hadas kalus rosh, or that Hesach Hadas is not to come to kalus rosh. This is what we say to say. It means you don't have to think every moment about the tefillin. Only when you remember and manipulate them. But automatically remember, and you will come to kalus rosh. That's only one aspect of it. But it's also simple to say, when you wear tefillin, you have to be not just b'yira, but also b'simcha. Yira and simcha came together. See Rabbi Avram Elia Kaplan in Bikvos HaYira. A person puts his tefillin, must be b'simcha. So Sheishi Abai Yisham, Ana tefillin kama nachta. Abai was a great simcha because he was able to put on tefillin. Klomar, meaning Mizeh ani samech. From this I am happy. But a person's heart is broken. Sin is in sadness. Comes them. Hesach Hadas. Oh, this is a big chiddush, right? Sadness is also Hesach Hadas. Not just frivolity, but too much sadness is also Hesach Hadas. Big aside. Klomer shemei siach daito misimcha shel mitzvah. He's removing the focus from the simcha of doing mitzvah. Zer Shem Rav is saying, Chazal say an Ovel has to go and try to be to reconcile himself to the point where he can be mechavet. He should calm himself down. That he should not be too sad. Even an Ovel has to have the simcha shel mitzvah of tefillin. That's why I talking of eulogy and crying. You can't put him on. At that time of such doings, you cannot be in a simcha shel mitzvah. Somebody who's in anguish or cannot focus. But also, the person puts the cannot be distracted from them. Means to say, since he's in anguish, so he's not calm. He'll certainly forget about them. He'll come to frivolity, in this case divine, as long as she afiach by him, he's going to pass gas to them, or Yushan Shenas Keva, or to come to a sleep of longer than a nap. Because besides that, you have to use simcha mitzvah, but you also have to make sure to treat the film with respect. And a person who's not focused is not going to treat the film with proper respect. So I have three things now. Yira, Simcha, and he doesn't put it this way, but they're covered. You name me, say, there's no reason to say the Rambam will argue what we explained previously. Hey, Omnam Od Kosav Shem Chayav Adam Mashish B'Tfila Kol Zman Shem Ola. A person has to manipulate his tefillin all the time that it's bottom. The Rambam writes. Shosech Dait Mem Afilu Rega Achas. Not to be distracted even one moment. Shekdusha Asang Dol Kedusha Tzitz. Because the Kedusha is great Kedusha of the Tzitz. Shatzitz Ein Bo El Shem Echad. It's only there's one name of God. Ve'Eli Yishmeim Kol Echad. Shem Shul Hey B'Shal Rosh. K'mos Shal Yad. And each one has here a Shem Shal Yud Kei in the Rosh and Shal Yad several times over. At Kashanah. Says you shouldn't deviate from your focus even for a moment. Move on, but that's case not clear much because of that you can sleep in them a nap. They should go if you can nap many moments during the nap, which would be Mesiach Das from the Tefillin. Some say she is sure come also like that. There's a certain measure of the maximum amount you're allowed to get distracted. It's the amount of time which you take to walk 100 amos. And temporary sleep is less than that. That's why it's permitted. It's from the Shagasari. Arukh says, you can say this. Because I feel regular. It says even a moment. Some say they came in the Mechaset Tefillin. It's a case for covering the Tefillin. And therefore there's no problem with Chadas. That's in the Arts of Zachaim. The name is Shum Tam Mishvach. Move on. Arukh HaShulchan rejects the Arts of Zachaim definitively. From my perspective, the nap is not difficult. Person must nap. But mitzvahs is the example of all the mitzvahs. Hesach when you have das, and you get distracted. Person's napping, doesn't have das. Rabbanan do not require you to take a tefillin during this short amount of time because they assume you're not going to come to pass gas that short amount of time. There's no obligation upon him. It's not to be Mesiach Das because he has no das. For when we're sleeping, we're like dead. That's the other bracha of a machzor shamas goy mesim. There's a chiv shayachot hamaz. How can you a person not to be Mesiach Das? In the root of the matter, it's difficult because even if you're awake, how is it possible? You have to be Mesiach Das for a moment. Okay? How can you then pay attention to your davening, your learning? Because if you're thinking the entire time about tefillin. You never see to me the Rambam lo kamar beisholech botel. When you're not idle, you're going idle. Or say involved in matters of this world. Time of davening or learning. Then Rambam also will be concede that you don't have to constantly think about the tefillin. Before it does not seem that way from their words, but that must be the pshat. Mr. writes in the time of tefillah, you don't have to manipulate them. Rambam, the brackets, Rambam as the Shabbos Shittus, how the Shabbos Yud Beis, because I'm Shabbos Yud Beis, I ain't Sham Beduk. Well, that's that for today.